Hi everyone, Liam Hillier here. Hope you're all well. Thanks for joining Talk Tonight Sports. I'm joined with Danny Richardson, Castleford Tigers player. How you getting on, mate? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Yeah, obviously, thanks for having me on. It's keeping me a bit busy at the minute anyway, so I've got nothing else
It's
to do.
hard, isn't it,
So
mate? Keep yourself occupied as much as you possibly can at the minute. So yeah, going straight into it. I'm from Widnes. I know you're from Widnes yourself. Widnes born and bred, aren't you? If I'm not mistaken. From where you?
yeah, Widnes born and bred, Alton View all my life. A lot of people obviously think I've come from St Helens because I was there when I was a kid, like 15 or whatever. So there's a perception of me coming from there, but now Widnes proud and
cool.
From there since I was born.
So going back onto the subject of Widnes, there, being a town which we are, it's either football or rugby. That's it. Mostly rugby. It's predominantly rugby in this town, just because of the heritage. What is that? Is there any reason in particular why you got into rugby? Was it just, I don't know, was it just because it was something you wanted to do, or was there any specific reasons why you got into it?
No. Well, I was always from well, as long as I can remember, I was always like a sporty kid. I'd done every type of sport, football, rugby, whatever it was, I'd done it. And I know my dad, he'd love rugby and played amateur rugby ever since, well, from before I was born. But since I was born, I knew of him, playing amateur rugby and probably wanted to follow in his footsteps. So
yeah, that's it.
I know he coached. He coached at a club called Widnes Moorfield, which isn't too far from me, around the corner. And I went straight up there when I was 4 or 5 years of age, and obviously played ever since.
Yeah, Moorfield's still going now, isn't it? There's a few good lads coming through there as well. I know a few of the lads who are training, and I know a few of the lads who are coaching there as well, which is good. So obviously, starting off from where you started playing when you were 4 or 5, to ended up playing for St Helens. You don't mind me asking why did you end up going to St Helens? Was there any other offers on the table, or was it literally St Helens was the one you wanted to go to when you first started off?
No, well, obviously, I think it's the same now as when I've come through. It wasn't that long ago, but when you get to sort of like, you play your amateur rugby from obviously 4 or 5 up until you're about 50. So like 14, I think it is.
Yeah.
There's a couple of rep sides like Lancashire and Yorkshire. Well, there was back then anyway. I don't know whether there is now. I'm not sure what the setup's like. But when you get to under 15s and under 16s, then it's called a scholarship, and you can sort of like, you probably know what that yourself. But there's professional clubs will set up. You won't get paid. Well, obviously some lads might or whatever, but on the whole, you won't be getting paid, but you're sort of in that system, and you'll play like 5 or 6 games in the summer at the end of the year, and it's sort of like a 2-year thing before you go into academy rugby. And I signed for Widnes when I was 15 for that first year of under 15s. I said, there was a couple of offers: Warrington, Widnes, Saints offered me the first year. Said no to Saints and Warrington. Decided to, stay at my hometown with the lads that I knew and, I was best mates with, and I thought, give them a chance and play there for a year. Obviously, done that first year. For whatever reason, I wasn't enjoying it, or it didn't work out, kind of thing. And then Saints come back in for me then for that under 16s, which was that second year of scholarship.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd give Widnes a go. I thought, I'll go and give Saints a go, and then I'd know what the two setups were like when it come to signing for academies and stuff. I would have obviously had a better understanding, and done that. So
I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Trying to work out what one works best for you, isn't it? At the same time, it's not the club; it's what one works best for you at the same time, isn't it? You've got to be right. You've got to feel like you're in the right place. You've got to feel like you're with the right players at the same time there. So going a little bit further into your career, you made a debut against Leeds in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was it like? What was going through your head when you were getting onto the pitch there for the first time? I mean, I can only imagine what it was like, but it must have been a whirlwind of thoughts going through your head.
Yeah, obviously, you get the obviously they say the nerves and the things like that. But I've always been quite a confident kid, and like I've dreamt of that moment since I was since I started playing when I was 4 or 5. So I was sort of like, and I wasn't as young as some lads are when some lads make the debut at like 17, 18, 19 or whatever. I think I was 20.
Okay.
So I wasn't like, I was young for an halfback, but I wasn't like young. I was still, I developed quite a bit. So I just said to myself, look, I'm not gonna let the occasion get to me and the nerves override me and then end up me having a bad game. And I look back on this moment in years to come and be like, oh, either we got beat or I had a poor game. And luckily we won and beat Leeds at home, and I can remember it now as a fond memory. So
yeah, that's it, isn't it? I mean, if anything changed in that game, your mindset changed, or if you had a bad performance, I mean, what would have happened? Like, imagine what would have happened going down the line. It probably could have changed quite a lot of things, couldn't it? At the same time. So,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So going on to the next bits on there. You were on a dual registration with Sheffield, and then you went on to Lee a little bit later on. I mean, I hear mixed things about dual regis and stuff. I honestly think they're a good thing. I mean, more so because of the fact that it's game time for players who, I mean, not necessarily getting it, but it's experience for you to go to, similar to what you said for going from Widnes over to St Helens, then you're getting the feel for two different teams, aren't you, at the same time, and how it works and what you can bring back. And how did you find your time at especially Sheffield? Because I know you were there from the start, and then you went over to Lee a little bit later on.
Yeah, look, obviously, coronavirus aside, rugby league the past maybe year or two, maybe year 2 or 3, it's looking back on past years gone by. I don't think it's in some ways it's in a better spot than it was, and in some ways it's not. And I think every club, at least every Super League club should have a full academy of kids coming through, should have a reserve system in place, and then a first team. But for whatever reason, that can't be done, and whether that's money reasons or for whatever reasons are unknown. But that's my opinion on that. But obviously, you can't get that. So the next best thing then is, well, where the lads going to play? We were coming through and stuff, and obviously the dual reg was put in place. And for me, I was playing against, like, obviously lads the same age and younger than me in academies and stuff. But you don't really get that test of playing against men, and that give me and other lads might have only been one game at Sheff or whatever, but and then a couple at Lee, but it gives you that taste and that sense of, like, playing against men. And I think for young kids coming through, they need that. But like I say, that wouldn't have to be in place if the setup was probably like a bit like it is in Australia, where you've got full set of kids coming through and reserves.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I'm going to get onto a little bit later on. It's just the current setup with the rugby league at the minute. Just carrying on with your career a little bit there. You played, was it against Jamaica for England Knights, was it? I think it was Jamaica, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What was it like for the first time?
Last year, yeah.
Do you know, putting this shirt on, the England shirt, and going out and playing for your team at any level, a national team, how did that feel for you? I can imagine that's like a huge thing to do. Because just for anyone who's listening, what was that like?
Yeah, it was a buzz. Obviously, like I say, making my debut, you dreamt of that moment when you were a kid and you were playing on a Sunday afternoon or whatever. And then the other moment is representing your country. And I was never deemed good enough coming through as a kid to play for my country. So 16s, 18s and what have you, I never got picked, and I've kept that drive. And obviously it's not the end goal as in England first team. It is the night set up, and it is the sort of, if you like, the next step after that. But either or, it's we had that England kit on and represented England and enjoyed every minute of it. Great bunch of lads. The coaching staff were class, and it was just a class week. Obviously, we'd had the full year at club level, and then I'd never experienced anything like that. So to go away for a week with them was class, and yeah, they definitely want to do it again.
Especially when you're still young as well. You need to get that experience under your belt, I reckon, in my opinion. So just going on to where you're up to now. You're currently playing Castleford Tigers. Castleford, sorry, pardon me. How have you found the changeover at the moment? I don't know why it's at Castleford. Castleford, how are you finding the changeover onto there? Obviously, they've been a team which has been fighting for the top spots the last few years, especially. They've been up there. How have you coped with that? I mean, obviously, you seem to have hit the ground running. What's your take on the changeover?
Yeah, obviously, decided last year needed a bit of a change from St Helens, and left the year early, and obviously signed for Cass. And like I've said to Parley and them at the time, I wouldn't have signed if I didn't think that they'd be up there challenging for titles, because that's essentially what you want to do as a rugby league player. You want to win, don't you? So I said that at the time. They've been up there for years now, and they've always been a club that's with there or thereabouts and challenging for, whether that be leagues or making grand finals and challenge cups or whatever. But yeah, so obviously went there last year and ripped in pre-season. The lads were class again. The coaching staff were all class, and I love that pre-season. We all worked hard, and we had a good laugh at the same time. And then obviously we come back. We started the season like a house on fire. I think we were 5 from 7. Joint top of the league. I think was it with Wigan or was with Saints? One of the two. And we were flying, and then obviously this coronavirus hit, and I don't know, for whatever reason, whether that be some lads didn't come back the way they should have, or there was definitely a couple of times where you're thinking, fixture wise, I think there was 2 games where we weren't supposed to play, and we ended up playing and last minute and mixing team up and getting beaten. And then once you get into that, you sort of like, well, it's like a bit of a snowball effect, and then you play on the Thursday, and then you play a Challenge Cup game on the Sunday then that you wasn't originally supposed to play. That then got rearranged. Some reason that the whole thing got redrawn, and we ended up playing on the Sunday. And yeah, it was just, obviously before lockdown, I said we were flying, and after we come back for whatever reason, well, there was a lot of reasons, but we wasn't where we were supposed to be at, and we ended up obviously losing more than we won, and it wasn't the best of finishes. But on the whole, I a great year for me personally. Enjoyed it, and moving away from Widnes and getting up into Yorkshire, enjoyed it.
Yeah, just going off a few things there. For anyone who hasn't been listening, there was quite a long layout from the coronavirus. Like, I know the football was off for a bit of time, but Championship hasn't started back up for the rugby at the minute due to the COVID situation. Obviously, the Super League has kept going, but there was a bit of a layoff on there. How do you think COVID has actually affected rugby without the fans being in the stadium? I think that's one thing which a lot of people have, because I know the likes of Castleford fans, the massive supporters, the loyal supporters, similar to what you would about at Saints as well. You've been used to a lot of fans who've been interested in the game and obviously screaming and shouting for the team. What's it like not to have that in the stadium at the minute?
Massive, yeah. Obviously, like you're saying, the fans, they don't realise how big of a part they play, and for us, there's no better feeling than running out into a packed stadium, and you can't hear yourself think. I remember that first game we played against Catalan. Obviously, Catalan had played the week before, so they knew what to expect. But you're running out, and when you run out at a training session, it's actually probably louder than when you walk out at a game, because obviously everyone's focused and stuff. You can hear the pin drop in the stadium, and then you've got to go and sort of play. And for players, you buzz off the fans, and when you score, or you do a good kick, or a good pass or a tackle or whatever, and you hear them, that you and the lads around you, you're all buzz off it, and it can help massively. And like you say, the sooner they're the sooner they're back, the better for me. I don't really. I'm no politician and I'm no health expert, but fans in there, social things that are open around the world, in the country, and you're like, well, yeah, it's a bit baffling, but yeah, like I said, sooner the better for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a massive thing. I mean, being a fan, we're all sat at home now wondering when we're going to be able to go into the next game, and I think it just seems to be getting postponed further and further, and that's the harsh reality on it. Hopefully, by the time the season starts off again, we might be a bit closer to where we need to be, but just got to take it from there, really, haven't you? So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. You've played with some great names through the years. Who do you think is the most influential player you've ever played with? The person who's took you under your wing and essentially taught you a lot of stuff?
Well, I remember when I first obviously come through at Saints. I was like a young kid, and Luke Walsh was there at the time. He was the half, and I remember him and Travis Burns. They helped, like, obviously they were the halves at the time, and they helped me massively. With me every day. Putting their arm around me, and Walshy was I think he was trying his best for me to play with him. But yeah, so that was the first sort of taste I had of someone actually looking after me and showing me the ropes kind of thing was him. So
yeah, cool, fantastic. Another one which I would say as well. I always ask everyone who've had on the show so far, who do you think's the toughest player you've ever played against? Like, when you've ran at someone, you've hit them, and you've gone, "Geez, what's going on here?"
Oof, there's a few. I'm only little, aren't I? So
name a few of them.
Time we get it hurts. Yeah, I remember I played against Mark Minicello. I was at Saints at the time, and he was the back row for Hull. And I remember looking up before the game and thinking, Jesus, he's big, and then I must have caught the ball out the back of a play, and like tried to square up on him, and he just shot out the line and just folded me in half, and I just knew straight away that I was in. I'd been it So yeah, probably him. But there's tough lads all over the sport, and I'll always say I think we don't get the publicity we deserve because for the athletes that some of the boys are, and it's if it was in America or you look at say the NFL and but I think we've got athletes to match that, and we're just not.
I mean, even if not better,
not recognised as much as you say.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, you're looking over at the NFL and the NRL especially. Is it to the same level, if not better, as most of that I've seen? So I know the training you go through. I know how hard it can be, and I know, as you're saying rightly there, you're not getting the credit you deserve for the stuff which you're actually doing. Which I think is what's going to take me on to the next question here is how much potential the rugby league's actually got. So especially the Super League. It's mad because there's been talks with the likes of Eddie Hearn getting involved. There's obviously trying to get money in, trying to get overseas teams into the league, especially to try and expand it as much as possible. How do you think the sport needs to go forward to get it to the level it needs to be at? I mean, if you could sit at the board and say, right, this is what needs to be done.
Well, I don't know. I think if I knew that, I'd put it forward.
I mean, that's the thing. It's the magical question.
I don't know, mate. Yeah. Well, like you say, the game, it's sort of been the same for I don't know how many years. I think we've tried little bits and little different bits here and there, and it's sort of not worked. That I don't. Maybe just have the full game, just have a full revamp. From like people who are presenting to the commentators to everything. Just a full revamp and just see how we go because. Like you say, we've been trying for years and years, little different bits here and there, and sort of not really worked. But this year, some of the players that are playing in the comp and any team could beat any team. Yeah. It's been that competitive. Like you say, look at us for example, top of the league before lockdown, come back and end up finishing where we finished, and you're like, well. Sort of how can you end up doing that? But it's because there's no easy weeks. Any team can beat anyone, and I think we've got the product that, in my opinion, that could be like something special. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't got an answer, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people, especially like from the fans' perspective, I personally think it's a very old school sport. I think that's where the rugby league has gone. It's in a situation where it's in that one spot. And as you said, a revamp might be the best option. I think looking at the bigger picture, it probably would be, because I mean, I've been watching rugby since I was 5 or 6. I've been going to watch Witness with my dad, and we've been down, and it's just like we've had the worst of times and we've had the best of times. And I think if the revamp was there and everything was all kind of reset, you'd probably be able to get to a level where it'd be like, I mean, on par with like the Union, especially. I mean, the Union's great, but I don't personally watch rugby union. I like it as a sport, but I don't personally watch it. And I think there's a level between rugby league and rugby union, and it's quite a shame, to be fair. And it should really be at that level. I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions. So I always.
No, I agree. Like,
yeah. Go on. No, go on. What are you saying? No, go
on. No, I was just going to say, like, obviously, we're right next to Liverpool here, and you speak to people from Liverpool or wherever, and they've never watched a game of rugby before in their life, and they say they watch one game and they're hooked. And it's like, well, the product's not the issue.
Yeah,
obviously,
it's really,
what they're seeing is they're enjoying, but it's just getting that in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when we've been watching Witness, I've seen some great games, and especially when we were in the Super League. I mean, I go and watch Liverpool. I go and watch Witness, see the role for Witness, and some of the games I've watched, I'd rather go and watch like a tough rugby game than go and watch it like a 4-0 win at Lamfield. You know what I mean? It's a different setup for me. But since obviously we've gone downhill, it's gone a little bit strange. I'm not going to get into that. Right. So 5 questions I always ask, just quick fire questions. What's your favourite playing memory as a player?
Favourite playing memory?
Yeah, favourite playing memory.
Yeah, the kicker against Warrington after the
whistle. Oh yeah. I was watching that before. I was doing some research on it, and I was like, yeah, the great kick that made.
Yeah, gotta be.
I don't think I'd be able to do it. Probably wouldn't even get it 20 yards, to be fair myself. Funniest player you've ever met, whether that be in the changing room or playing against.
Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook.
Yeah. I've heard a few people say that, to be fair, around this area. The best stadium you've ever played at?
Yeah, it tickles me. The best stadium?
Yeah.
I'll probably say St James's Park in Newcastle.
Yeah. We went there twice to watch Witness, and I mean, I've never been to there to watch footy, but to watch the rugby there was a great thing. It's a good stadium as well, and
it's class. Yeah, Magic Weekend.
Yeah, Magic Weekend was great. Right. I'm going to go off subject from the rugby at the minute. Fury or Joshua?
Yeah.
Fury. Yeah. Fair enough. I'm not. Yeah. It's your opinion, isn't it? Right. Favourite sporting memory outside of the rugby?
Favourite sporting memory outside of rugby? United winning the Champions League final against Chelsea.
Oh yeah, John Terry.
Manchester United.
Yeah, remember that. I remember watching that. Right, okay. I think that's pretty much all we've got time for there, mate. So, pleasure nice one for joining the show. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you again. If you could just one last thing, if you could give one bit of advice to any young up and coming players, what would it be?
Yeah, just keep enjoying yourself, and you play this game for a reason at the start, and it's to enjoy it. And if you can work hard along that at the same time, who knows where you're going to end up. But yeah, because it's not easy. You look at how many lads play at the start, and how many lads actually come through to make the Super League debut. It does shrink that pool. So just keep working hard and just make sure you're enjoying it every day. Turn up. It's not a chore, is it? You're playing rugby, so
yeah. Well, yeah, that's it, mate. Nice one for joining us. If you want to follow Danny on Instagram, it's DannyRich96, I believe. Just jump on there, give him a follow. Nice one for joining. And if anyone's got any questions for him, just pop them in the comments, and we'll try and get them over. But yeah, nice one for joining us, mate. I'll catch up with you soon. Nice one for watching Talk Tonight Sports, and we'll see you all again soon. Nice one.